program at the Institute for Security Studies, Gareth Newham. Good evening, and thanks so much for coming in. So let's jump straight in. Serious and violent crime at a 10-year high. We just heard murders up 0.6%. But there have been different causes in different provinces, according to these stats. Do we have the right policing policies to manage the way these problems manifest in each of those provinces?
Well, if we did have the correct policies, strategies and tactics, we would not be seeing increases, particularly not in robberies. We're seeing more robberies on the streets of South Africa in the most recent crime statistics. We're seeing about 1,200 more households being attacked by armed gangs in the last year than which happened the previous year. We saw about almost 1,500 more businesses being attacked by armed gangs than what happened the previous year. If the police strategies were working, we would not see those kinds of increases. We would see the opposite. We would see decreases.
Well, because I want to talk about leadership, and we're going to talk specifically about what Ria Pierre says when you compare it with, whether people feel comfortable in their homes anymore. Rape and other sexual offences are down significantly. The rape of children down 3.3%. The reintroduction of those special sexual offences courts should impact that number. But what are the primary drivers of sexual offences, and how should they be tackled urgently?
Well, the primary drivers of sexual offences is really the inequality between men and women in South Africa, is that men feel entitled to have sex when they want it from women, and they use violence if necessary to get it. That is the real root factor. It's about patriarchy. It's about a system that doesn't appreciate that men and women should be treated equally and have equal dignity. That's not something the police can affect. The best the police can do is when somebody is raped, make sure that the victim is treated well, get the evidence necessary to identify and bring the perpetrators to court so they can go to jail. Now, most rape victims do not report the incident to the police because very few cases actually end up in jail. So vast majority of rapists, even if they get caught by the police, their cases will be withdrawn or will not see them ending up in jail. So statistically, we see maybe 1 in 9 people, women who raped, reporting that to the police. So when you have a 0.5% difference in the rape statistic, it may be that fewer women are reporting rapes as opposed to actual incidences of rapes are decreasing.
Oh, and let's move away from rape specifically and just talk about crime more broadly and the obstacles to reporting crime. We've had instances and reports of people going to a police station, there are no cars, there are no personnel, phoning, no cars, no personnel. How close, Gareth, do you think these stats are to the reality of crime in South Africa if there are so many obstacles to reporting?
Well, nowhere in the world are crime statistics a scientific or seen as a very valid or reliable measure of all crime in any society. Even in countries which have relatively high reporting rates that are stable, that have quite low crime rates, most of the time they say that overall you may be only getting about 60% of what happens. In South Africa, with high crime rates and overstretched police agency, a lot of the obstacles you mentioned, some cases in some crime categories, the reporting rates are quite low. So maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 9 with rape. The most accurate and most reliable indicators we have are typically murders because there's often a body involved, or car hijackings, car theft because there's insurance claims. Some kinds of robberies you have insurance claims. So there's independent statistics which you can assess. But overall, crime statistics really give us a sense of which way is the trend moving. Is it getting better or is it getting worse? That's how we understand or use crime statistics.
And more importantly, how that should direct government policy and policing policy in dealing with those things, as we mentioned in the first question, which leads me to the question of leadership. We've had a lack of continuity in national police commissioners, or a lack of the right person. It's been said by some analysts for this particular job. Does this play any role in the crime stats being what they are?
Well, the robbery rates going up suggest that the police have not got on top of that. They're not able to identify the armed gangs that are making our streets less safe and our houses less safe. And that's a kind of crime that the police can bring down. And in successful initiatives, both in Gauteng in 2009 and 10, where they managed to bring the rate down by 10% in that year, and internationally, where we've seen in other countries up to 75% reductions after good, solid policing strategies. When you have robberies like that going up, it suggests that all is not well in the police because it is a very policeable crime. Now, in the last 3-4 years, we've had 3 different commissioners. Every commissioner comes in, they have their own ideas, they appoint new people to new posts. It makes it very difficult for the organization to cohere around a solid strategy for the positions of people to get used to their jobs and really start focusing on the task at hand. So,
and also for those strategies to bear fruit.
To bear fruit. Yeah. It won't happen quickly. So you need to have a solid leadership group in place that is honest, that gains the trust of the police and the public before you really start seeing the kinds of gains that police can have against certain kinds of violent crime.
So our police officials have to ask some hard questions of themselves this evening. We thank you for your time, Gareth. Gareth Newham is from the
News that moves. eNCA.com.